Hey, what's up everybody? I'm gonna do this video to go over my idea of the value of project cars and Tri5 cars in general, and this will somewhat apply to other cars, but for example, if you're looking for a 67 Corvette, 69 Z28, 70 SS Chevelle, you could throw it all out the window because they're so extremely desirable that you pay what you pay. Okay, but let's just say you're a younger kid wanting to get into the Tri5 hobby. Okay, and you got your heart set on a 56 two-door hardtop, 57 station wagon. You know, whatever you got your heart set on, just focus on that car, okay? Don't settle for anything less, because as it goes on, it's going to add up to where it's got to make sense money-wise and in your brain that you was doing the right thing and this is what you really wanted. Because the prices I see on these cars nowadays, it's just like, run. That's the only word that I could come up with, run, you know? And what I like to do, you know, I'll be 44 next month, so I've got a lot of years. I was hanging with my dad, you know, when he didn't even want to take care of a baby. I was so little. I was clung to his legs, you know, because I love the Tri5s at such a young age. I mean, I was crazy about them, okay? So I've seen a lot of them. And you all hear the stories. We all hear the stories. Or maybe you even bought a Tri5 for $500 years ago. You know, you're probably not going to run into that. You may, but you're probably not going to run into that anymore. But what I want to go over on this is, if you're looking for a Tri5, this is my thoughts. Because there's a lot of people out there that'll buy a car and they have no interest in building it. They just buy it to flip it, to try to make money because they know it's a good deal or they could sell it for more. Unless you have a really big budget, I would stay away from that. You want to try to be like me. I always try to be the guy that finds the car. You don't want to buy the car from the guy that found the car, because then the price goes up. So that's rule number one. The internet has made it so you can find any type of car in any condition that you're looking for, just like that. But it's got to make sense money wise and in your brain. Okay. The next thing, so try to be the guy that finds the car, not the guy that buys it from the guy that found the car. The next thing is, you have to be realistic with what your skill set is. Now, if you're young and you're just wanting to build your mechanical skills and you're open for a big challenge, and you can get a little bit of a rougher car that's tore apart. There's plenty of people that'll help you, give you advice and things like that to get the car back together, but it takes a lot of work, and it's up to you to make that work. So that's the second thing. You got to be realistic with what you can do yourself and what you're willing to do with yourself. And a third thing is, do you have a place to put this car? Do you have the means to store it without paying storage fees on a car that you're already going to be putting money into? That's a very big problem that a lot of people overlook. Me personally, I don't pay to store nothing. If it comes to the point where I have to pay to store something, bye-bye. It's going down the road. You're just throwing away good money at that point, and money is too hard to come by. And the fourth thing is, do research. Know what these cars are going for. Like, I see like, let's just say, a nice 55 two-door hardtop. It hasn't ran in years. The body's decent, but it's going to need a lot of work to get that car cruising back down the road. And they have no problem at all asking 25, 30 grand for that car. Now, if you did a little bit more research, you could find one driving down the road for about 35 to 40,000. You know, you get there, you haggle a little bit, you know, things like that. So don't just look at the first one and say, well, that's what that car is going for, because it's not. That's That's just that guy's asking price. So know what the car is supposed to be worth. And I'll show you this car behind me and talk a little bit more. But I just wanted to present a buyer's guide just because the prices are all over the board anymore on the Tri5s. And I know we're living in a world where everything's expensive. But guess what? The parts you buy for this car are twice expensive. So don't throw away good money. Don't buy a project car you'll never get together. So let's take this car. Let's check this car out. Now this one right here, I've done several videos of, and most people would look at this car and say, "Yeah, that car's junk." Well, I got it from a junkyard. My skill set's different than other people, and I'm not even a master of anything. But a car like this does not intimidate me one bit. It's just a matter of time before that car's got the taillights on and that car is cruising down the road in the sunset. So you got to know, if you're jumping into a Tri5 Chevy, could you take on a project car like this? That's what I was saying. You got to do your research and know what a car like this is going to cost. Know what the motor, the transmission, the exhaust, the interior, the glass, the bumpers. Get a game plan together. I see a lot of cars where people, they want that 57 Chevy. They get that 57 Chevy and they never get it going. I bought a 56 Nomad from one of my dad's buddies. I don't have the car no more. But he had bought that car in May of 1979. And I got it from him in, I want to think, 2018. And his name was Dick. I said, "Hey, Dick," I said, "you ever drive this car?" "No, never drove the car." "You have a car almost 40 years and you've never drove the car? What is the point of having that car? Guys, life is too short." So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you know in your heart you can't handle this car, don't even entertain it. Move on. Keep saving. Get something that, if you can't do the mechanical work, if you can't do metal work, get something that is solid. And I use that term loosely because in my mind, rust-free does not exist. There is some cars out there that are pretty damn solid. But I've seen some really nice cars from down south that still had pinholes in them. Maybe not a bunch, but the floors, around the drip rails on the roof, and these was really, really good, solid cars. But to say, is it rust-free? It's probably going to have to spend its environment in a climate-controlled situation where it never moves from 70 to 80 degrees. Yeah, it's probably rust-free at that point. So anyways, I'm kind of rambling right now, but know your limitations. If you can't do this, don't do this. Get you a car that is better suited. And you don't even have to get a Tri5. I'm just using it for an example. But the most important thing is research when it comes to these old cars, because it's easy to turn on the TV and see Barrett Jackson where, "Hey man, this car just sold for $300,000. Guess what? That's not this car, And to make this car, that car, you'd probably have $300,000 in it, if not more. Another big factor that I overlooked is you have to take in consideration if you're going to pay somebody else to do anything on that car, because labor rates, materials, supplies, environmental fees, everything is through the roof. So could you settle for a 55 four-door that was an all original car with a 6-cylinder that was real clean, ran and drove? Or are you dead set on a 55 two-door? And vice versa. Don't buy that 4-door if you think it's easy to convert it to a 2-door. It's a lot harder than it looks to do it right. It's a lot harder than it looks. You can do it. It's been done. But to do it right, to where when you go to sell that car and the next guy looks at the car and says, "Man, that was a nice job," it takes a lot. And furthermore, you always, to be honest, you always have to disclose that car was an original 4-door. I'm not saying it's an issue, but if you get a classic car, a muscle car, you will see quickly how expensive everything is for them cars. So just know your limitations, know exactly what car you're looking for, and stick to that car. Make sure you have a place to put it. Make sure you have time to work on it, because they're not going to fix themselves. And be realistic. Well, that's all I got, guys. That's my buyer's guide. This little car right here cost me $1,000, and I cringe thinking about it. Should be $500, but what can you do? Most people think it's not worth fixing or pay too much. That was a fair price. I stole it. All you gotta do is worry about you, guys, because at the end of the day, I'm the one working on that car. I'm the one building that car. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys find this useful. There's a young generation out there that we got to grab hold of to keep these cars alive, and we can't run them off with crazy, unrealistic prices that we wouldn't pay if we was buying the car. Thanks for stopping by Don's Hot Rod Garage. Catch you guys on the next video.